We send love, peace, and blessings to you all. And thank you for joining us for another episode. I got my man, again, I'm sorry, your boy Jay Carter, my man to my left that's always heard and never seen, Skeens.
What it do?
How you feeling today, brother?
I'm good. What about you?
All is well, man. I was thinking, you know how you have the you never had I never had that moment with my dad where I tried him, you know what I'm saying? But there's still ways that he will give me a subtle flex. So y'all, I have recently started like, riding a bike, like cycling, you know what I'm saying? Not no what's the joint called? Not the Peloton. Not that, but I just got a bike. I ride around. Eventually, I like to do some things to it to, get it faster, lighter, stuff like that. But I've been steadily getting, because again, y'all, when I was on my workout game, heavy with lifting weights and stuff, which I no longer am, but I still maintain. But I would do like high intensity cardio. I'd hit the stairs or do some jump ropes, some sprints, stuff like that. So I never been that kind of cardio guy. My dad's always been that kind of guy. He would go for runs and, sometimes he would say I remember one time he said he accidentally ran 10 miles.
No, and I can run, but 10.
You know what I'm saying? How do you
No.
accidentally, oh, Jesus Christ, I just ran, to the next city. But, so anyway, I've been getting my wind up. I started very, very light, 5 miles, 6 miles on the bike. Okay, cool. Then start 10 miles, stuff like that. Okay, 10 miles on the bike. All right. So the other day I rode 15, then I rode like 16 and some change. I'm starting to feel good about myself. You know what I'm saying? So we got this group chat between him and Dub.
Yeah.
And we were saying these little figures and stuff. Then he'll just come. I rode 20. I rode 25. I didn't have much time. I rode 30. So it's these subtle flexes. He tried to tell my mom that I'm competitive is the reason. But I'm like, dude, I haven't even rode 20 yet. So today, I didn't send him the past 2 days. I rode 11 miles one day. Then yesterday I rode like 12. And I was feeling good yesterday, but I wanted to get back in time because as soon as I had my bike over at the in-laws, and as soon as I finished, my boy Trey, he wants to then, as soon as I finish riding for over an hour, he wants me to go
Right.
and ride, which I'm like, you got to be kidding me, but I go and ride. So anyway, 11, then I rode 12. I got pulled back up to my in-laws. I was like 12.7 miles. Like, man, I wanted to ride some more. But anyway, so my dad this morning, I sent him those 2 little deals.
Yeah.
From the past. Well, I rode one day, took a break, one day off, and then rode yesterday. So he's like, hey, as he's I think he maybe was talking into his phone or something because he was on the ride. So he's like, man, I'm like 6 miles in. I don't know how far I'm gonna go. So by that time, I had called mom, so we chatting, chopping it up, and she's like, oh, your dad's coming to the house. Let me see. He's gonna tell me how many rode. And I said, I want to hear how many rode. So the phone then transfers to him talking.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, boy, I just rode. I did 43.
But you know what that remind me of? I remember Reggie Miller told the one story when he was in high school.
Oh, with his
He was like, he came
yeah.
in the house. I scored like 60 points. They was like laughing at him.
Yeah.
He like, man, I'm thinking I did something.
Right.
Sure put up a book.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what my dad, but salute to my dad. He's always in top flight shape, something for me to aspire to. And I take my hat off to him. He turns 59 this year. You know
Oh,
what
wow.
I'm saying? So in July, he'll be 59. My man's out there on the
Happy
bike.
birthday in advance.
You know what I'm saying? 43 miles, man. But,
Hey, question first.
oh, go ahead. My bad.
All right, since you said that. We talk about I kind of realize we are rarity because we both have great relationships with both our parents.
Mm-hmm. So
So when you say that, and saying that as much as we both talk to our parents,
Yeah.
you talk to yours a lot more than I do. But I don't love them any less.
right.
What do you think are your best attributes you've got from both of your parents individually?
Well, I'll say, man, I got a lot of stuff from my pop. You know what I'm saying?
If you was to choose, let's say you was to choose one.
From pop, what I would say is the ability to look at things that I don't agree with from a level position.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? He will always teach me, even if it's something that I don't agree with, to still listen and evaluate it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's helped me in my communication skills and my ability to move in a broad range of people. Um, I got a lot of self confidence from my mom, and I guess my both of them are outgoing, but I have a nature where to couple with that ability to listen to people is that people are shocked sometimes at the questions I ask them.
Yeah.
But that come from, because my mom will be like, "Sweet Pea, did you ask him this?" And I'm like, "I didn't ask him that." I used to be like that, but
Yeah.
now I will ask the question. And sometimes people be so shocked that you are asking them a question like that and always trying to have the deeper conversation. You know what I'm saying?
You know, and the reason why I kind of asked it, just as you was talking about that, some people unfortunately have horrible relationships with either parent, and sometimes because you're too much alike with that one parent, and the communication is like in the toilet.
I find that to be prevalent in mother-daughter
Yeah,
relationships.
and a lot of times that people find themselves doing their best to say, I'm gonna make sure I don't have or display these traits that I hate worse about my parent, and instead of dealing with those traits, because unfortunately that what you run away from actually becomes the standout trait that people see in you.
Right. What do you think you got from your mom and your pops?
My pops,
I know what you got from your. There's something we thought that you got from your mom for a long time, or from your dad, but you actually got it from your mom.
you know what? From my mom, actually, my willingness to be open, to have an open on policy with everybody.
Okay.
Cause like even on the campus, like where my mom works at, every student loves her, and
Now-
my mom
now,
has
all-
a great relationship with everybody. That she
Mom
comes,
is like a dorm. You know, she oversees a dorm and stuff like that. FYI. So anyway, go ahead.
yeah. So and she's a mother figure for a lot of kids that have dysfunctional families. A lot of kids tell her stuff that they can't tell
Right.
their
right.
family members, or some kids come to her office and talk to her stuff about that they can't even talk to their best friend, or girlfriends or boyfriends, vice versa. But she does primarily. She is over a male area, but and that openness and that willingness to love any and everybody immediately. And when I say that, is more of she doesn't come off with the preconceived view of who you are. You're going to determine who you are by your actions or what comes out of your mouth. But immediately she has that openness and willing to love you immediately. My dad, I would say, the thinking. My dad's a free thinker.
Okay.
My dad is like, even though he's antisocial, he is one of the.
You get that from him?
That's not my first trait, but my dad is like one of those guys that he thinks outside of the box, and he made him talk about ideas, and he has different views on a lot of different things, that even designs and stuff like that he's created and told me about and written down, that eventually that he never unfortunately like went through with it, but years later I would see these different items or different thoughts come out to the masses. And that's one. He's one of those people. He thinks a lot. My dad even got accepted to law school. He just one of those people.
Oh, I
He
never knew that.
bounce around and do other things. But I think he more enjoys his freedom, and contrast to the restraints of being locked down in the office of law when it comes to law. But those are the two things. And the reason why I was saying that also kind of bounce off of that is kind of going the other direction. Our parents are our biggest influence. Your father to girls is your first boyfriend.
Yep.
Your mother to the man is your first girlfriend.
Absolutely.
And you know, they had the other day the stuff with Boosie with his kids.
And
It's one of those things. It's one of those things that as a man, you want to be proud of your kids and you want to instill certain attributes and traits that you have, or that you feel is your best. That is your best.
Right. Yes.
But unfortunately, not all of your traits, whether you view them to be your best attributes, the world doesn't view that.
Right.
So when I'm seeing that he's talking about having his 12-year-old nephew and son, allegedly, but
Right.
I'm saying allegedly, even though he said that this occurred, having sexual intercourse with a grown woman,
Or he had a grown woman perform
oral
sex.
yes, on the kids. One, as a grown woman, what is your mindset?
Where are you at in your life? Because you can tell, a 12-year-old from a grown man.
Well, even not just the fact of telling that it's a 12-year-old grown man, the willingness to perform that.
Right.
So, I remember back in the day we used to watch wrestling. There wasn't head DiBiase used to say everybody has a price.
Well, yeah.
What is your price? And
Right.
and I can't say, and I was first prevalent by saying, you never know what you would do until you're in those situations in that moment, because people have a lot of things going on in their life that make them make compromising decisions.
Right.
But still, these are kids.
Bruh.
And then when you say as a father, as a grown man,
Right.
to put your kid in that predicament, in that position to do that, for his sake, I hope that he has a great lawyer on standby.
Right.
Because you got to look at it. They could easily come after him for child molestation,
Right.
or reckless child endangerment.
Right.
And you can. It's not the same, but it's somewhat similar to the R. Kelly situation. You have a minor
Yes.
having sex with
An adult.
an adult.
Right.
So what makes it even worse? You as the adult that are these kids, head of household, their model. That's what they in. As a kid, your dad is what you envision to grow up to be when you have a great relationship with your father. He has you performing these acts. Now, maybe these kids are not mentally ready for this. And you're coaching them
Well,
up
it's
to
not maybe. Let's just say that
Well,
they're not.
yes, and so you as their father figure or their head are coaching them to do something that they are not ready to do.
Right, and I was really troubled by it because, again, as we try to push the conversation forward about how we move as men. And, well, let's go back. The part of this that makes this interesting, and wherever you stand as far as like Dwayne Wade and his son, daughter, Bootsy was very vocal about it, right?
Yes.
And how bad of a parent D Wade was, right? Now, many people argue the point, D Wade is being just supportive. Some argue the point that,
And
again, he's
and
at a
no
point
matter
where
which
he's not making the decision. He doesn't need to make that decision, right?
And no matter what your view is, I respect it either way.
I respect it. So here's the thing, though. You could argue the point where Boosie he sees D Wade as a bad father, but then
And he goes there. He tries to take.
He
the
goes
extreme
over
to prove that the masculinity of his kids. But
and that's not a journey that you need to take a 12-year-old
No.
a 12-year-old on from back to have this sense of masculinity.
Well,
it's not in that.
and another thing that we don't understand, or we're not getting, that psyche. So, as I said, we were talking about the whole R. Kelly thing. The same trauma that he has inflicted on some of these women, who's to say that Boosie has not inflicted that same trauma on his kids? Because regardless of how you feel about R. Kelly, his trauma came from somewhere, and the interaction, the alleged molestations from his sister and they said other family members bred that R. Kelly. So that was ground zero of creating that pedophile, that monster that people envision.
Right.
So, who's to say that those actions, Boosie is not breeding another monster?
Well, we have to, what we have to look at and hold ourselves accountable from, whether it's the past generations to us now, again, is because we've had this false. Again, we always talk about this false identity of masculinity. Is that it was almost not almost, it was an attaboy that you had a sexual act or activity earlier.
Yeah.
And or if it was with a older woman, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, how old was she? Hey man, I was 12, she was 18, or whatever it was, she was 21. That doesn't need to be introduced in at that time. And like you said, it carries over into sometimes. And when we say it carries over,
People become collateral damage.
absolutely,
You're
absolutely,
because of that trauma, you may not be able to ever fully give your mate what they deserve.
you don't. When you anytime, usually when you interject sex into a child, it's gonna have some adverse reaction in their perception and idea of sex. There's a young lady that I know, and we were having a conversations where she was like, when she starts to get close with men, she feels like it has to go a certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It can't just be platonic. We cool. I rock with you. You rock with me. And when we sat back and peeled back the layers, it was because somebody touched her when she was young.
And that's what we said, that collateral damage, and you don't know how, in terms of him, his perception on, I say this, the damage that is done, no two people damage is the same.
No,
it's just no different than your fingerprint.
Right? Everybody.
Everybody has these lines, but
Yep.
these lines are designed differently.
Yep.
So one person may go through those traumas; they may be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Other people are better at masking that trauma.
Right.
But then some people go on the deep end and can never fully recover. And any and everything that touches them, they come into contact with, they destroy. And on the outside looking in, you say, "Oh, that person, that's a bad person." We never took the time to find to practice empathy to find out what triggered that person, or how that person become where they are. Is no different than when we look at kids in the hood, and people talk about how bad these kids are. These kids have PTSD.
Absolutely.
Everyone from the hood, for the most part, has a version of PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
But on the outside looking in, they talk about how bad you are.
Mm-hmm.
No one actually asks the first question: what is the root what's the cause of this? How did you get here?
Not the fruit.
And what did you have to endure to actually still be alive?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Now, even when guys come back from the military, they come back from war, we show them that level of compassion because they have PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
These are grown men.
Right.
If we show that compassion to grown men, how dare we not show that same level of compassion to kids?
Even much more to kids.
Because at that age demographics, your mind is very impressionable.
Mm-hmm.
I think someone was saying, like, a lot of time when it comes to music, the music that we listen to at an earlier age has more impact with us as we get older, because you remember those timepieces of where you were at that point. Mm-hmm. Now, am I saying that we forgive everything that people do wrong in terms of when people in the hood shooting it? No.
But we do want to
understand what's the trigger, and how do we stop that generational curse? Because it has to stop somehow, somewhere.
Right.
And also we got to look at the method by which we've been dealing with it. Should tell us that it hasn't been working.
Right. Absolutely. And we could apply that same logic to the way that Boosie decided to move. Generational. I'm sure somebody did that. That's what he was.
And as they say, as a right, and he thought it was a rite of passage.
Absolutely. And I think, I just sitting here thinking, I think one thing that happens often when you introduce sex that early. I mean, because I mean, sex within itself, again, it's a pleasurable thing. You know what I'm saying? And but I think once you introduce it early, the appetite for it is like, you know what I'm saying? And number two, I think it makes it harder for when you're in relationships later for it to be meaningful to you.
Yeah, the value is gone.
The value, I mean,
It's like the dollar right
yeah,
now.
right.
It's
You know what I'm
tanking.
saying? The value is tainted. It's gone. There's no value in it because again, it was introduced so early.
Yeah.
There was no relationship. There was no backing with it. There was no meat. There was no substance with it. So then it just becomes this trivial act.
Yeah, and even with Boosie, it's not a kill Boosie fest, but
Right.
these are things that we as a community have to call out and say that and not champion the certain things, but someone, it needs to be some OGs or someone in his community, someone that he respects, pull him aside, and he has to have some form of contrition about what,
Yep.
because he may not understand it. And
He might not.
And
I don't think he does.
and the fact, well, the fact,
I know he doesn't.
the fact that he was so willing to
go
expose
and
it,
say it, right,
to
lets me
glorify it
know.
on social media.
Yeah.
As they say, some barbershop talk should never be out.
Right.
Well, the action never taken place,
Right,
but this is something that
Right.
you shouldn't put out to the masses. So most likely he doesn't get it. So this is a teachable moment that we all could learn from, and figure out that, hey, how can maybe I have some things about me that I need to get right, or I need to change my views on, and it just doesn't have to be about this, but part of that healing, we need to find out what within him needs to be healed.
Right. And we all have to make those midterm corrections in ourselves. Again, talking about my pop, he was, again, helped me to sit back and evaluate, listen, consider, even if I don't agree. You know what I'm saying? But talking about making the change, he grew up without a pop in the household. And my dad is a military guy, did 20 years in the military. And people always ask me, did he treat me very militaristic? And he didn't. Pop, he had his moments of tripping, and he used to leave. He was a great note leaver. Back in the day, he would leave computer paper in my bathroom with a note on it about something he didn't like. Shout out to my big bro Henry. We got computer paper notes in the computer room. But with that said, man, he told me how he always felt like he had to be hard, right? But he wasn't that way with me. He wasn't that way. He made those corrections of what he thought. He attached being hard with being a man. But when he raised me, he didn't raise me that way. You know what I'm saying? He raised me, again, as a man. I think it's prerequisite as a man that you have to be a good listener.
Yeah.
You have to be. That's prerequisite. That's one of the prerequisites of a man. You got to be a good communicator. So he didn't raise me under that. He raised me to be a thoughtful guy.
And when you say listen to understand.
Listen to understand, not to respond. You know what I'm saying? One of my favorite stories of my pop is, and I may have told y'all this before, but we were stationed in Germany. And again, just to show how he was a working, living example of what, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't just telling me it. He was it. So the way our house was set up, you had like the kitchen, living room, dining room, and you walk down a long hall, 2 bedrooms, a hallway bath, our 2 bedrooms across from each other, then a half a bath. And he was in his office / computer room in the front. And my mom was asking him something. I don't know what they were talking about. I was in the back playing Nintendo 64, Killer Instinct or something like that. And I hear them shooting these verbal darts back at each other. And she goes, I can hear her walk on the hardwood floors into the room, and she saying something. And he's like, Bob, get out of here. He's just like yelling, right? Now, I was like 14, 15. I was like, get back to this 65 hit combo. You know what I'm saying? If y'all Killer Instinct fans. But he yells my name and he calls me in. So I'm like, man, how am I involved in this? And he calls me around like, what's up, Pop? He said, hey, you heard how I just talked to your mom? I was like, yeah, I heard y'all. He said, when you get married, don't you ever talk to your wife that way, even when you're upset with her. And I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that moment where he made that correction in the moment. He made that correction in front of me, and I'll never forget that. And that's how we want to be as men.
To actually own it. And, yeah.
Owned it instantly in that moment. He owned that that bad behavior of showing me how you disagree with your wife. You know what I'm saying? Because again, he could have said, "I'm the man," but he didn't do that. He made the correction in that moment. So again, salute to my pop. And just that's what we're talking about, how we're trying to move as men. And people throw around this toxic masculinity term and stuff like that. We're just trying to, how can we move better as men? How can we move better as men, and how can we move better overall in our relationships with our significant and with our kids? And it did, man. I was hoping you was gonna bring that up about Boosie, because I was like, man, this is wild.
Yeah,
this is wild. But you know, hopefully somebody, like you said, an OG will pull him to the side, like, yo.
And unfortunately, that's a discussion. After that takes place, he should have the discussion with his kids.
Yes.
Because like I said, you never know when a bomb blasts who's hit.
Mm-hmm.
They could completely be on edge about everything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Anybody they have, whether it's their respect for the teachers, the interaction with women, friends, they may not have a stable relationship of any type.
Yeah.
Because of that. So as I was gonna say, you just never know how people are affected.
Mm-hmm.
Even in that moment, you look up, you can mask it. Even Royce had the one song. Shout out to Royce 59. Check up on your strong friend. When you're talking about how people, you have to look the part. You're that protector that everybody looks to, or when it's all bad, they say, "Oh, I know he got me. I know he won't waver." But on the inside, that person is a mess.
Right, and that's matter of fact, perfect. We're gonna issue a challenge for you to check up on some homies and homettes that you haven't hollered at in a minute. I try, if I think about somebody, because I got a lot of people I think about. I'm not trying to call all y'all, but I will shoot you a text sometimes. And I have a great set of friends that know how I am and how thoughtful I have friends that I could come out of the blue after a few months and just ask them the deepest questions, and they will humor me. But I'm issuing a challenge to hit up somebody you haven't checked in on a while. Somebody that you consider to be, oh, I know they straight. And shoot them a text. Or if you got the time, hit them with a phone call. You know what I'm saying?
And because you never know.
And see where they at, man. See how they, locate them.
Because we've seen people that have committed suicide, and people and everyone that know them say, "I never knew. I never saw that side of that person. They never displayed anything." That phone call that you called could have got them off the edge.
Absolutely.
That text could have been the thing that changed their mindset. The little as saying, "How's your day going?"
Little stuff
could change a person's complete outlook on life.
There's a dude from Europe, Luke Sando. He's a bodybuilder guy, but when you see him, he's one of those happy-go-lucky, sarcastic dudes. He just committed suicide, like I think a week or two ago. It was crazy. He was one of them type of guys, always fun-loving, seem kind of guy. Had 2 kids. I think he's only 30. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you're talking about, stuff like that. So
because mental health, especially in our community, is the most slept on aspect of about us. Because for so long we've always been saying, we all heard the term "man up," shake that off. You being a punk.
Yeah.
Well,
now I'm being a human.
Yeah. So and that goes to, as we talk about the PTSD, your surrounding that you're dealing with. Now then you compound that with the feelings that you're feeling, and it's a snowball effect. So it is ramping up. So eventually, some people will blow, and instead of tackling that small issue immediately, or finding out what's going on with that person, dealing with it now you never know how that person's life would be. So those are things we do. As I said, we need to check up on people and actually really be don't not the generic "how you doing" or "what's up." Actually, really be vested when you make that call or that text.
Yeah, be vested. Sometimes now I will do, because if I'm in the middle of something, I want to I don't have the time to
Yeah.
necessarily. I will say, hey, what's been up? You know what I'm saying, to kind of get the ball rolling to the conversation. But that said, we wanted to have a topic, a discussion with you guys, and y'all know we're a lot of times we talk to women,
Kind of chauvinist.
we want
I
to
own that.
know what women think and have dialogue with our sisters. But we were thinking about this the other day. Have you found yourself in a sort of relational Groundhog Day? And you say, what Jay Skeens, what do y'all mean by that? This is what we mean. No, have you been in a number of relationships and found yourself to be in a place of repetitive outcome?
Yeah. Or repetitive, same, basically coming out with meeting the same type of person.
Repetitive outcome.
So it's just like
repetitive person.
It's like some music that you hear today. You don't know who's singing it. You don't know who produced it. You don't even know if the next song is actually playing but
Right.
the DJ has changed about 5 or 6 songs, but it all sounds the same.
Right.
How are you coming up with the same guy, same outcome? What has been your vetting process? So we thought about. We would like for some of you all to let us know what are some of the questions that you ask when you're in the midst of trying to figure out who's the person that person's for you. That's for you.
What questions are you asking? Are you asking questions
At all? And the reason why we ask this is
now
because,
some of this. Now Skeens came up with this the other day, but we saw some of this. Yes, ladies, we do watch pieces and things that we know women check out because we understand. We watch sometimes on the weekends. We watch Insecure. We check it out. You know what I'm saying, and get some ideas. But on that show and on many oftentimes y'all can argue if you want to show the liberated woman. They show her liberated in the fact that she's more passe about relationships and that she's. And now we see one of the key characters is trying to settle it finally. And she was going through the process of communicating that information to the guy that she wanted to have a more settled and not just kind of this whatever we just kind of hook up type of relationship.
and it wasn't even communication. It was basically like, this is what it is right now.
She ambushed him.
Like, this what it is.
She ambushed him. I think is her name Molly in there?
I don't know.
I ain't good in there. I know East on it, but I think her name is Molly on there, the lawyer chick, right?
Yeah,
That's the
think so.
lawyer chick. And so she's seeing this guy, and she's had, since I've been watching it, she's had a number of relationships. You know what I'm saying? That never go right. And so she made the decision in her brain at some point, oh, this is not what I want anymore, but she did a terrible job of communicating that to. Now, her and the guy are getting to a point now where we saw episode 4 where they're working towards it, but
Yeah.
the process was crazy. So that we wanted to discuss that. What are the questions? I always tell young ladies they need to have kind of a top 5 things that they're looking for. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of as a basic, not just going into it.
Yeah. What can you or can't you live with?
Right.
And what do you want? So there's 2 different things, because some people ask questions about what they want. That's not really the what you can or can't deal with.
What do you mean when you say that?
Oh, what you say? I want a guy that with swag.
Right. What is that? Right.
Okay.
Okay.
That's what I want.
Right. That's definitely not a need.
I want a guy that's going to be with me through the thick and thin. That's a need.
Okay. Yep.
It's difference within that. So yeah, we like to know what are some of the questions that you all ask. We will go through those, and we have questions that we would possibly like to present to you all, and that you may want to think about asking yourself. You can always put it in your own words. Not telling you that you should, but it once again is just open up the mind to actually be willing to take a different approach, especially if you continue to lose every game the same way.
Right. We got to change the strategy.
Yeah.
We got to run some different plays here. So we hit us with in the comment section with some of those things that you asked
Or text.
or text. You can hit me on the text. DM me whatever means you want to use to get the information to me. Now,
These are questions that you are actually asking.
Stuff that you have actually laid out and said. Okay? Don't make
not one of those. Well, he knew what I meant. No.
No.
What are you verbalizing?
Right. And I don't know who it's gonna be, but one of my homies that is single and willing to we want to call you. We'll set it up for the next show where we can call and have some discussion. If you want to remain anonymous, that's fine. We can do that as well. But we do want to open the dialogue between, the ladies and give some understanding and perspective to your position. So that's the intent to do that. And we got some great pointers and tips for you. I think y'all going to love it. But we want to get something from y'all first. We ain't just give you the game for free this time. You got to have something to get admission in here to get some of this game. So, again, questions in a relationship that you're asking. And some things that come to mind, and again, we don't want to reduce ourselves. And I love Zoe Williams. Shout out to the voice of reason,
yes,
Zoe
sir.
Williams. But in a relationship, we never want to reduce ourselves to human doers. He always said that you're human beings, not human doers. And oftentimes in a relationship, a lot is predicated on what you do for me. You know what I'm saying? All the time.
It's always transactional.
Transactional relationships, instead of do I appreciate just the bare essence of who you are as a human? Can I rock with you? Do I love just that? Naked? Not, you know what I'm saying, y'all. Now I do like you naked, baby. But you know what I'm saying? Just the bare bones, bare essence, who you are as a human being. Can I deal with you? And oftentimes, and what we've been talking about, if you strip that away, i.e. quarantine, you see that A, I can, or B, I cannot deal with you when there's not all this other stuff to distract us from actually interacting and connecting together.
And not just can I deal with you, do I prefer you? Mm-hmm. Do I appreciate you?
Mm-hmm. Just you.
So even as a day like today, Saturday,
mm-hmm.
if you say, hey, no TV, no internet, no nothing.
No phone.
No phone.
No Wi-Fi.
How do I feel about being around you?
Mm-hmm.
Just you.
Does it make my stomach hurt? You wonder why I'm always sipping Pepto-Bismol? I don't have to sip it when I'm not around you.
Are you faking a headache all the time just so you can go in another room and go to sleep? But yeah, how does that relationship look? Mm-hmm. We would like for you to depict that mm-hmm. and give us that true breakdown. And if you never tried it, try it. Mm-hmm. Do it. Couple hours. That doesn't have to be the whole day.
Yeah.
And try a couple hours of just being. Mm-hmm. Just be still.
Yep. And we want to hear not just we want to hear a little bit of it all. We were talking about some of the single homies that we have, but people that's in relationships, got some time in the game, married. Tell us kind of some of the things that you went through to get to where you are. Your process. We want to hear the good, the bad. Some of that stuff. And it's all just so we can learn, and again have open, honest dialogue. Because like Skeens was saying the other day, is that oftentimes you be feeling like you're the only person going through something when, you just one of the many that's been through it. And, you find support and, it makes you feel better when somebody's walked down that road too. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing we've learned in life, cheating is good. And let me preface and the reason why I say that, not cheating per se.
Right.
Find someone who's doing it correctly, who did it correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cheat off their test.
Cheat off
their paper. You can look at my paper. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why I say cheating is good in that aspect.
In that aspect, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's just like sometimes I always say, I would tell my young kids that sometimes experience is overrated. When we're talking about the, well, man, brother Jay, I was trying to, no, you don't got to go down that road.
No.
It's many people have been there. It's littered with bodies and heartache and tears, and you don't have to go down there. There's no just to say you experienced it. You don't have to go down
A
there.
wise person learns from other people's mistakes.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. That's wisdom. So we do want to have that conversation. All that said, ladies, with you guys, and I think it'll turn out to a great conversation next time. You know what I'm saying? I'm changing gears all the way. But dude, I know I sent you this joint the other day. I don't know if you listened to it. I'm switching gears to music, but my boy Tank, man, he has his EP While You Wait. We listened to some of it,
Yeah.
but he added some tracks to it. And I just got to give a salute to Tank on that. It's just bare bones. If you haven't heard it, check this joint out. It's just Tank sometimes can go, you know, where his trap R&B. It's not any trap R&B. It's more just for me as a 80s, 90s R&B guy. It's piano and good singing, you know, and it's, you know, some love songs and stuff like that. And he had this joint called You, and I was sitting at the kitchen table a couple of weeks ago and playing it, and I told Liz, I said, babe, they wrote this for me and you, girl. This about me and you. And I was singing a little bit of it to her. Boy, I had a successful night. I'll say that after.
Into the big homie.
Shut
that
Jason
down.
laid it down.
Big homie shut that down.
Baby, I got. And he just put out another. He's putting 4 more. He had 6 songs, and now he put 4 more songs with it to give it a full 10. He has another one called On My Love. It's real cold, man. Check that. While you wait, while you at the house chilling, put that joint on and just lay up with your significant, man. I'm telling you, he's setting the mood, he's setting the vibes, man. Got to give a shout to that, man.
Hey, you know what? You just said that. What happened to Quiet Storm? You know, Quiet Storm used to have music at the end of late at night or a certain point of the night that created a mood.
The vibes, baby. It's all about the vibes.
Or even if you are a person that go out on a regular basis. You know, I remember back in the day, at a certain period of time, the DJ job was to set a mood.
He set the vibe. You got to find you one. Go get you one.
Now, if you may be a guy that, or female, whatever, you wasn't that much of a dancer or whatever, but
Right.
he set that mood. They turned the lights down. Whoever you was eyeing for the 4 or 5 hours you was there, at that point in time, you made your move.
And fellas, you know how we used to have to hike the pants up before you would get on the chick? You know what I'm talking about.
And that created a form of intimacy or curiosity there at that moment. So even if it never manifested anything that night,
Right.
outside of that engagement at that moment, you got her number, you got at least get to know her, or you, a female, you getting to know him. That moment was created. It was like, it was that wind out that it made you think like, yo, if you're single, maybe you potentially didn't want to be single anymore. That was like the pregame that got you that worked for you, or if you know if your mind was in a whole nother in a whole nother arena, hey, that was your hype man.
Absolutely. Well, I think our generation, it changed. You know, we were setting vibes, setting the mood. Now, when you
But no, they went from that to now at the end of the night on the way out the club. They play Walk Around the Club, everybody.
Right,
like,
well, yeah.
Like, yo, that ain't nothing. Or you playing Knuck if you book or whatever it is.
whatever it is now, right.
I mean, that was back in the crunk area.
We aged ourselves.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna talk about Dirty Sprite and some other stuff that going forward. But it's like it ain't. I'll put it like this. Depending on what song is being played at the end of the night, your head better be on a swivel going to the car.
Right.
Because that energy, that music creates energy.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So if that energy have you hype and fully engaged in in that rowdy mentality,
Mm-hmm.
I don't see you turning it off the second you walk outside the door.
Right. True indeed.
Now, if you mellowed out, just like you talk about Trey, before bed there's a certain period of time that you got to calm down.
Time, son. We can't be turned up all day. Boy.
So if there's no time to turn down on the way out, we can't be shocked by some of the activity that happened on the outside in the parking lot.
Yeah, but I think Skeens is, again, it's just the current generation. I talked to some of my little sisters. At the time, my little sister, she was just married, and I was like, "Yo, do y'all be setting the mood?" You know, I'm messing with her. She's like, "What are you talking about?"
No,
absolutely no, Jay. We're not doing that. You know, now when you in, y'all know that's in married life, man. When you got kids, I don't necessarily have the time to set a mood like that because, I got a little dude over here that could be woke at any time. So now we do take time out to set the mood and the vibes and to do the massages and the this and the that. But I don't think people are setting.
Man, they playing Little Baby.
Well, I mean, Skeen, it go back to what we're saying that some of the things have been, it's nothing. You know what I'm saying? So there's no time or effort or this other thing that has to come with it now to set this move.
And then that also kind of ties back to how we were talking about with the Boosie kid having sex early.
That's what I'm saying.
You lost that. The value of it is lost. So even that, a lot of relationship values have been lost. Right. So, I mean, you said once you say to death do us part. Now until you get on my nerve,
right?
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, all of it is disposable. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Once the again, we meet. I'm not knocking y'all, but I'm old. We meet online. Oftentimes, physicality ensues shortly thereafter. You know what I'm saying? And then, through like we talked about, physicality, time, conversation builds a relationship, which then we walk into possibly a marriage. But this whole time we've been operating in a way of just kind of, and we haven't really drilled down in this relationship. So when the drill down point comes and the work phase of the relationship happens, like, oh, this isn't fun anymore.
Because the only thing you had was highlight packages.
Highlight packages.
And you know what? As you say that, we talking about the online. I just had this conversation with my little brother.
Okay.
We was talking about everything. About relationships and meeting people because of now the whole online dating and things like that. A guy don't have the ability to talk to women anymore. So once upon a time, right?
Yes.
You used to actually have to go up and talk to a
look a chick in the face.
That require one
in real life.
Yes,
in real life, you
in
had
real
to go
time,
and look at her.
You have to have some confidence,
right,
to go make that walk, that green mile. And sometimes it was
the walk of shame on your way back.
But it was the walk of shame if you was going there when she realized, she looked at you and said, he ain't got no confidence. Why is he coming over here?
Girl,
it was a shameful walk.
To talk to me. Yeah.
Coming over there.
Yeah.
So it required a level of skill to actually be able to communicate with a woman.
Yep.
Make her like you in public, in real life.
Yep.
Not these emojis and not being able to hide behind the camera. And because, behind the camera, hey, you can quote some of the greatest love songs when you're talking to one because it's free. You're free.
Well, yeah, I could copy and paste it.
Well, it's not that. You could just come up with different things because you're like, man, there's no. I don't feel the type of way because if I can talk to a woman in the UK,
yeah,
and slide in the DMs and say some of the slickest whatever at this moment, I'm like, man, I'm in my bag right now. Mm-hmm. If she turned me down, oh well. Mm-hmm. I ain't messed up because I don't know her.
Right.
You never miss what you never had because it was never really a tangible interaction. Mm-hmm. So you can go in there, as you say, copy and paste. You can copy and paste this same thing to like 30 different women.
Well,
whoever bite.
That we watched a catfish, and it was ironically this catfish episode was with a girl that's from the local area.
Mm.
And I could be overshooting the number, but I think she said she over the years she had like 1,000 plus profiles, just fake.
That's crazy. Wonder how you cannot have a job
You know what I'm saying?
if you doing it like that. But man, but yeah, like I said, we was talking about it. And you, my brother, he still, even though he's younger, shout out to my little brother, he still had that thinks with that mentality. Like, man, I prefer to walk up and
Right,
talk
yeah,
because
yeah.
there's something real when you actually have to interact and deal with me one on one. And
I think the better in you comes out when you do it that way.
that, and as well as I think some women think it's admirable the fact that you have the confidence to walk over there and talk to her, and sometimes you talk to her in front of her friends. And
Right.
but you know, sometimes guys will get intimidated by a beautiful woman, and he's like, I don't want to talk to her. A lot of times, as we said, a lot of people have that same mentality. So she's actually the most lonely person in the club because every guy is thinking the same way you thinking. Man, I don't want to holler. I know somebody with her, or I know she gonna shoot me down. She's there for a reason also. Now she could be there with her friends. You know, some people do go out and have fun, but you never know unless you shoot.
And guys, when you're going to approach a woman, I see all these guys as these dating coaches and show you how to win and score and pickup artists going to show you the signs and stuff. Now there is a level of mastery that you do have to have as far as body language and certain things, but really what's going to help you win is general conversation.
Yeah, you know, people study the NLPs and stuff like that. Yeah.
General conversation.
But
general conversations.
Well, that's just like sometimes, you know, some of the people, some of us have went to college. We have professors that have their doctorate in business or economics. But have you ever put this to action?
Right.
Have you?
Right.
You have a business. You have your business degree, your doctorate.
Right. Absolutely.
Have you created a successful business?
Right. Yeah.
Now you can teach me the theory, which
Right,
is some
right,
of those
right,
coaches
yeah,
they teach
right.
theory.
Yep.
Now, and in a perfect world, even on the job, our higher ups tell us different things that in a perfect world it's supposed to work.
Right, and it makes sense in the boardroom.
But when you're
practical
when
application.
when you out there in the midst of it,
Right.
people on that's on the front line, you know, like this will never work.
Right.
So you know those people listen to those coaches and things like that. What is your success rate? And I'm not saying you just got bodies just to have bodies. What's your resume like? Or the women that you're interacted with? Are they gonna give you a referral? Now, just have them on your resume is one thing,
Right.
but will they give you a referral? So that's a little bit different. I can stack them up, but am I rehireable? Or would you recommend me to somebody else? Because if she won't recommend you to another person,
Right.
now there could be some hurt feelings, but at the same time, somebody will champion you. But yeah, that was kind of a thought when you were saying that the online thing.
Before we go, I wanted to touch it just real quick. I know you. We were talking the other day about different examples that we had through entertainment and stuff like that of black folks and stuff like that. And this is an old topic, but we were thinking, we were kind of tossing it around. And you were basically talking about how with Bill Cosby, and I think you were saying something to the effect of the canceling of the man, or in reference to.
Yeah. So the question is, what was more in turn? What has had the most impact on our community? The counseling of the Cosby Show contrast the counseling of Bill Cosby. So, back in the day, the Cosby Show was that model, a possibility of a happy household. They was pretty much the Obamas before the Obamas. If you want to bring it forward,
yeah.
You saw a father that actually was a loving father. who's supportive.
Use all, and what always stuck with me of a number of things was that he didn't use the traditional methods of how sometimes black folks thought that they had to discipline their kids
Yeah.
too.
And part of that was we got to the point of people saying, I can't rock with that show no more because my household isn't like that, or it is not possible, or it didn't. You couldn't identify with that type of relationship. So we do a whole 180. We start watching Love and Marriage. I love Al Bundy too.
It was a hilarious show, right?
But our views went and the viewership went more towards like Love and Married with Children. Sorry,
Yeah.
as well as the Simpsons show. Once again,
Which ironically kicked the Cosby Show off of TV.
and this is what I'm saying. So it was hilarious, yes, but we found more value in watching those shows than watching a possibility or a model of possibility that we could achieve if we're willing. But sometimes we have to take a step back and ask ourselves, what can I do different to get there?
Well, let's take it for, because I know again, smart brother Antonio Moore would say that his rebuttal would be that the Cosby Show is a representation of black life that isn't realistic, is not attainable, and causes us to have, he uses a term called striverism. And the basic idea of striverism, y'all, is like when we see the Cosby Show, when we see LeBron James, when we see Puff, when we see Jay, when we see, whoever that you want to think of, that through their success, we believe if we just kind of strive and believing in our mind that we can get there, but there was a unique circumstance that allowed them to get there.
But the same thing can be said that Malcolm has striverism. Martin.
Right.
So
right.
even he exemplified that same trait. So if he didn't strive for what he strived for, who's to say our position wouldn't be where it is today?
Absolutely.
So
I think my rebuttal to Antonio, because or anybody with that kind of rebut to the Cosby Show and things like that, is you have to strive with a plan.
Yes, there has to be. Okay, we admit that it's bad. Okay, now what else?
What else after that?
Are we going to say it's bad and we're going to soak in the fact that it's bad and say that the war is me?
Yeah, the odds are we ain't gonna be able to get out of here.
And there's nothing else that can happen. There's no way of climbing out of it. Even if one person climb out, that's still progress.
Right.
So and as we talk about cheating, you replicate, you duplicate. You go. I have that model. I say, okay, this is what it is. I too can do it. Now, everybody won't be there, but who's to say that it may not skip a generation and your kids may get there. So we have to still maintain hope, but as you were saying, we also have to have a game plan, because I don't want to hear how bad it is. Or every time that I come up with a method of achieving something, you shooting it down. If you're gonna shoot it down, come up with a plan, a way to fix it.
Absolutely.
Don't just be a contrarian just for the sake.
Right.
Have something in a plan in action. He's like, hey, that may not work. This is what, and then if you're gonna come with your data of why my way won't work. But if you better have a backup plan.
Right. And you hit a key. I think these days, being a contrarian to be a contrarian and being offended just to be offended is, it's like you get so much love for that.
Yeah, I'm about to say it's now became.
Oh, that offends me. I'm offended by that. And people are like, oh my God, you're offended?
And some
oh
people
my
have
God,
became
congratulations.
you became an influencer because the fact that
being offended.
Offended.
Like, man.
Okay, you're offended now. What is what do you have to offer outside of the fact that you're offended? What is your plan of action?
I think, man, the whole this is also we could couple this conversation with where do you separate the artist from the art? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know people say I can't. Some people can't separate it. You know what I'm saying? For me, it's no different than people that we have in our family that have done crazy things, but they're still at the barbecue. They still at Christmas. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't support that over there with Bill and all this stuff, but there was something that he added as an entertainer and in the view of how black people were seen, how
Yeah.
black dads and moms were seen,
As well
how
as
black kids were seen.
the amount of kids that he sent to college.
Right.
He donated a lot of money, and there's a lot of kids
Right.
that life had been changed.
Mm-hmm.
The trajectory of their life had been changed because of his contribution. Now, that doesn't minimize the things that he's done or allegedly done,
Yeah.
but as you say, you have to also. We can't tell one story,
Mm-hmm.
one side of the story, without actually giving the story in its totality.
Mm-hmm.
There's some attributes about some things about him, even his stance in terms of him talking about us being better parents.
People was in their feelings
and
about
people
that.
were mad.
I wasn't mad.
Yeah, and as we talk about, sometimes we get upset with people because of proximity. Because he's one of us, he shouldn't talk about us in that manner. It doesn't matter about the message. You don't be offended by it. Ask yourself: is he wrong?
Is there validity to this?
And as I look at myself and I talk to some people, if I can look myself in the mirror and say I've looked myself in the mirror and I did all that I could, then I'm okay with it. But you can't look yourself in the mirror and say and lie to yourself, but then be mad when someone call you out on your lie. Because as Bishop used to say, we all fall short of the glory. We all have improvements that we can areas that we can improve upon. You have to be willing to accept criticism, and also you got to be willing to put the plan in action.
Another bishop used to say that if you're mature, then you love correction.
Yeah.
You love to be corrected if you're mature. Because, again, I'm not looking at it as a slight, or something towards me. I'm looking at it as something for me to improve and get better. Like they say, you got to be reachable and teachable. It's the same kind of thing like that you have those type of things that you have to exemplify. And in dude, I think I remember it was an episode where how he sat him down and he talked with him about if something was going on with one of y'all. I think I can't remember if it was the girl was pregnant or if she was on drugs. I can't remember what it was, but how he sat his kids down to talk with him, how they could come in and sit and talk to him. And I know us in our culture, we laugh about it, but shit, wasn't no talking. I got a Hot Wheel tracker. I got a da 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 da. And okay, I got it. There's a line that we have to, and a balance that we have to have between, discipline the kid with the rod versus, hey, I need to sit down and have a conversation with you and build with you. And again, we're trying to build a nation of young men and women that are, again, critical, sharp thinkers. You know what I'm saying? And not just reacting out of this type of, because as a parent, even you got to sit and think, in this moment that I'm about to whoop you, is it because of my emotional state, or is it really that I'm trying to teach you better? And oftentimes we have to, again,
out of anger, in
with the
cases.
correcting of ourselves and evaluating, it was from a place because I was tired. I was tired of you yelling in that room. And oftentimes my dad, again, my pop and my mom helped me with how to balance that thing with kids, is that there's a line. Sometimes when your kids have a track record of kind of acting beyond their age or over their age, and then when they act their age, you're disappointed, but really they just are acting their age. Really, what's wrong with that? You know what I'm saying? When you think about it, they're supposed to do that. They're supposed. Trey is, like I said, y'all. He's supposed to not care that I just came off of my bike for an hour, and say, "Daddy, are you ready to go back out?" He's supposed to do that. He's
A key.
supposed to do that.
But you become so far removed from the action that you used to have.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that so
exactly.
you get yourself like, yo, well, all right, yeah, this is normal.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all, episode 9. Again, always our prayers for everybody that's experiencing any hardship or heartache out there. We send our love to you. We send our prayers to you. We appreciate you guys tuning in and the support thus far. We got a lot of dope topics coming, and we want y'all to come along for the journey with us. But again, my man to the left, Skeens. I'm your boy Jay Carter signing off. How did we get here?